Good evening, it's Dr Audrey Tang here with Mental Health Matters After Hours. It's the show where we take a deep dive into all things mental health and well-being. And we join you every night at 8 p.m. PT on a Thursday. We're always there. But if you want, for Workplace Wellbeing, join us in the morning at 8 a.m. PT. Now, tonight, we are talking about mindfulness and how important it is to get that sense of clarity and that sense of peace through our day. And we have a mindfulness coach joining us all the way from Israel. It's Samantha Amit. Let's head over to the main studio. So welcome to Mental Health Matters After Hours, Sam. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's a real pleasure to speak with you. I know mindfulness is a real area of expertise for you. You do it with organizations, you do it with leaders, and I know it's something we can all benefit from. So do you mind telling us a little bit about the essence of mindfulness for those of us who still think it's simply yoga and breathing?
Right. Yeah, well, it's actually interesting that you mentioned yoga, because maybe I will start with the point that we actually all are practicing a certain kind of mindfulness to a degree. And I hope that today I'll introduce you to more parts of mindfulness that you can introduce. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is how you pay attention and what you're paying attention to, the quality of your attention, the quality of your presence. So maybe I'll just break it down to a few things that could be helpful. So we want to pay attention to our thinking. We want to pay attention to our feelings. We want to pay attention to our sensations in the body. You know, that's so important for mental health, for emotional health, for well-being. So we want to pay attention to what's going on within us. But not only that, we also want to pay attention to what's going on in our outer experience. And so mindfulness really is paying attention within and also without, but it's how you pay attention.
Yes, I love that.
Okay.
The point about the quality is absolutely key, because we all think, oh, I can multitask, I can do so many things, and we are attending to it to some degree, but not with that care.
Not fully in the moment.
Probably, we're not in that moment.
Yes.
And I know it's such a key part of professional life, because that's where big decisions are made. We impact other people. We might be containing anxieties. We may be in charge of other people. But how can we also bring this more into our personal day-to-day?
Yeah. So one of the ways that is so key is in our communication. So when I say communication, first of all, let's use the definition that I spoke about before, mindfulness within and mindfulness paying attention inside and outside. So what about my internal communication? What is that voice in my head talking about? It just chatters on and on all the time. And so most of us, I would say all of us, have an inner critic. And it could really help in our personal life to just start paying attention to the voice in our head with care, with curiosity, with, that growth mindset of wanting to learn rather than judge ourselves. So paying attention to your thinking, and paying attention to your thinking is really important in communication, because the quality of your relationships is often the quality of your life. And so if your thinking is going to support your relationship, if your thinking is, let's say, positive or at least neutral, that's going to make a positive intention on the person that you're speaking with. Am I making sense?
Yes, very much so. It's because if you go in thinking, we're all teachers here. Our producer's a teacher, we're ex-teachers as well. And one of the things we were taught in teacher training was that you cannot go into a lesson expecting a child who was naughty the last lesson to be naughty again. You have to start with a fresh page. And I think that's what you're saying, though. You can't go in with that intention of this is going to be awful, because then you'll just make it. You're going to look for that. So that's really important. No, thank you. That's helped a lot.
Yes, thank you. And what might you say then to people who think mindfulness might be a bit dull or not a very exciting practice?
Yeah, so I experience that a lot, especially with people that are new to mindfulness. You know, it's hard. It's not easy to start practicing, because when you start practicing, you notice the inner critic, you start noticing the judgment. And so people that say it's dull or it's boring or I can't do it, it just means that they need a teacher. They need somebody to help them to see the value, because we know today that there is so much research on mindfulness. And so, you know, the research just tells us how helpful it is. So it's the last thing is dull. It's the most interesting thing, because when you start discovering your, like, let's say your internal voice, when you start noticing what's going on in the body, when you start noticing your emotions, you can shift that. And so it can be just the opposite of dull, actually.
Yeah.
So anyone that said that either hasn't had the right teacher or hasn't really given it a go before. So that's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, give it a go and get a good teacher. So are there some people who might try it but it might not work for? So maybe if someone has depression or another mental health illness, might it not be so appropriate for them?
Yeah, so I want to answer this question by saying that I'm not a medical practitioner. So I don't want to, anyone suffering from depression or from any medical condition should see a medical practitioner.
Sure.
But having said that, I would say that mindfulness isn't for everybody. However, the vast majority of people really get such benefits from mindfulness, and people with medical conditions are often referred to a mindfulness practitioner, to a mindfulness teacher, to a mindfulness coach, to a mindfulness therapist, because there is so much there's so much data out there on the benefits of how it can help. As I say again, just turning your thinking around.
Oh, wonderful. So what might a mindfulness session with you look like?
Yeah, so, I work predominantly with leaders in 43 countries.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, depending on who's with me, I will flex. So I don't have one particular thing I do. But what I do in a session with a leader who's in usually the corporate or nonprofit space is, I listen to them, I listen to, what's coming up for them, and then I use mindfulness to create more insight, to create more insight. So how it will look is that I'll actually meditate with them in the session.
Okay.
And we always have like amazing things that come forth and come up. So I'll take them through a visualization. I'll start off with some grounding. We can actually practice something soon if you'd like.
Yeah,
Yes,
very much
please.
so. We will do this in the next segment. So yes, I'm looking forward to
Fantastic.
that. Definitely.
Okay. So what I do is I first start off with some grounding. So a big part of mindfulness is actually, just taking a few breaths and like checking in what's going on with me right now. It's that coming back in again. So like what's going on in my body, how am I feeling right now? So like I'll ground them in that, and we'll take a few breaths, asking them to breathe in and breathe out. And then what I do is that I ask them, they're closing their eyes so they can go within. I keep bringing them back to their breathing, and then I take them through a particular scenario and I help them navigate that in their mind. And then what they do is I'll ask them to create a positive picture of it. So what we do is, there's neuroplasticity, which means creating neural pathways in the brain. And so I help them to create neural pathways of like positive ways forward of where they want to navigate. So let's say, for example, they've got a problem to solve or a meeting that they're going into that they're nervous about. I take them into that scenario. And then their eyes are closed and they're breathing, and I take them into that scenario, and then they're actually seeing that in their mind's eye. And then I take them back, and then I take them back forward into it again. And what that does is it helps them create a positive image of where they want to be. So they're creating that intention. They are using visualization. They're gaining insight. They are choosing in the moment how they want to be present, what values they want to bring into that meeting. So it's very, very, very multifaceted. Yeah. And I can actually give you an example of what happened yesterday.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it was a second meeting with a leader who's in sales. Mm-hmm. And he works with projects that are very complex. Mm-hmm. And today, often, you know, because of global partners all over the world, often when somebody's selling something, they don't just sell, they don't always even speak to the client. So you've got multiple partners, everybody coming together mm-hmm. for the sale. And basically, he was stuck. And at the beginning of the meeting, because it was only the second meeting with me, I hadn't practiced mindfulness yet with him in the first meeting. The first meeting was more of a discovery. Mm-hmm. So in the second meeting, he told me at the beginning, I'm not so sure that this coaching is for me, you know. And so I'm thinking, oh dear, you know, I'm going to get fired already. You know, this is only the second meeting. And I'm like, this was actually like a joke that I told myself just to calm myself down, because I noticed my thinking was, oh, he's going to fire me already. Yeah. Anyway, we did the mindfulness practice, and he gained insight. He actually landed up lying down on the carpet in his office, doing some breathing, feeling his body on the ground, and then I took him into that scenario. I took him into a place where he was seeing all the different partners, and he was looking at different options and he saw things that he hadn't seen before. Oh, ways wow. that things he could do. He got new ideas that he could now bring in to the deal and to move the deal forward. So he really got so excited from the potential of it all.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And that's exactly what we're going to hopefully experience in our next segment. So stay with us, Sam. Welcome back to Mental Health Matters After Hours. We are discussing mindfulness, and we are really privileged to have Samantha Amit with us. Yeah. She's a mindfulness coach. She has trained people all around the world at leadership level as well, but she's helping us get a little bit more mindfulness into our personal lives. And I'm really excited about this. Do you mind taking us through a short mindfulness exercise, which our viewers will be able to do as well, please, Samantha?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd love to do that. So I'm going to invite the two of you to actually sit with both your legs on the ground and to practice together with me as well. How does that sound?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, wonderful. Are you okay also to close your eyes?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so this is what I ask my clients. I always check in with people and see that they're comfortable. And so wherever you are now, I'm going to ask you also to find a place to sit, if you can, and to place both your feet on the ground. And let's start first of all by just feeling our body sitting on the chair. And so just getting comfortable. And if you'd like, you can just move around a bit as well, just to get more comfortable. So getting more comfortable, and like sometimes I like to say lifting your shoulders and just dropping them. And then gently, if you may want to close your eyes. And if that's not comfortable for you, then just find a place where you can gaze, one spot that you can gaze to. So I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to invite you, let's just open up the space by saying welcome and your name in your heart. So I'll say welcome, Sam.
Welcome, Audrey.
And let's just take in 3 breaths, breathing in and breathing out. So breathing in life, and then breathing out any tension, breathing in life, and breathing out any tension, And let's just take one more breath, breathing in and breathing out. And now I'm going to invite you to bring your awareness into check what's the internal weather right now. So just almost like a gentle internal gaze within, noticing what the internal landscape's like. And just breathing in and breathing out, and whatever you discover, whatever the weather you discover, just notice it and say, this is interesting. And so I'm going to invite you now to let go and just again come back to the breath and come back to my voice, breathing in and breathing out. And we're going to do a mindfulness visualization together. So just follow my voice and just continue to also follow your breath. So breathing in and breathing out. And I'm going to invite you into a space where you choose a relationship now that's important for you in your life, that maybe you want to even improve the quality of that relationship. So just choose anybody, whoever pops into your mind's eye, choose that person. And maybe just acknowledge yourself now with a smile for even, bringing that intention in for wanting to improve that relationship, for the care that you want to bring into that relationship, or from whatever the reason is. And so just breathing in and breathing out, and just hold that person in your awareness. And let's let go of everything, in fact, and just let's think about what we want to bring into that relationship. So letting go of the past and looking forward and looking at a possible scenario in the future where I could actually be in conversation with that person. And so let's pop into that kind of situation. So breathing in and breathing out. And just notice yourself in conversation with this person. And remember that you're making up the story in your mind, so you can change, you're the producer, so you can change anything that you want about this picture. So coming back to my voice and your breath, so breathing in and breathing out. And let's again notice yourself in conversation with this person and see how you're showing up. And what's important, what qualities are important, what values are important for you to bring into that conversation. And just noticing where your awareness is right now and coming back to my voice. And we're going to end this short mindfulness inquiry or mindfulness meditation. And just before we finish, I'm just going to ask you to just ask your higher self, is there anything else? And giving thanks for any wisdom that you may have received now. And just taking another breath, breathing in and breathing out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back.
Oh, I feel very relaxed
So
now.
do I.
Yeah.
Extremely relaxed.
I really like that. And I like your weather check. The internal weather check is a beautiful metaphor, really good imagery. What do you want people to feel after this? Because I know I definitely feel calm.
I feel very calm and very like I've been somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you hope people feel?
Yeah, so I think one of my biggest strengths as a, mindfulness coach is helping people understand that they're the producer of their life.
Yeah.
And they have so much mastery over their life. So in this mindfulness practice that we did some grounding first, which we always have the ability to choose something, to take a few minutes to calm us down. No matter where we are or what we're going through in our life, we can just breathe, which we started off with the breathing and the looking inside. And I help people to understand, don't be afraid if you notice stormy weather. That happens to many of us it can happen during a day, and you know how you can have a downpour and then the sun comes out. And so I help people to be more comfortable. But that's what mindfulness is actually. It's not about making everything pink and bright, but actually being more accepting of yourself, being more resilient, being more comfortable in your skin. So being okay with what is in the moment. So what I want people to do is to actually drop into the present moment and find strength from that. Find the ability to say, okay, what now?
Yes.
So, a huge part of that is bringing your intention into the moment and being able to actually know that you have a lot of mastery over, your present moment.
Yes, very much so.
That makes sense. And having done that short practice, then I can see how that might work. How often should people be practicing to see real benefits?
Yeah, I love that question. I would say the more you practice, the more you're going to notice the benefits.
As with most things.
Yes.
So, with my clients, I definitely, I give them practices. For every client, I'll give something different. And I would say daily, definitely. And the longer you practice, the better. So take any sport, for example, or anything you do, the more you master something, the better you become at it. And everything in the beginning is difficult. So the more you practice, the more it's going to become easy for you.
Yeah, of course. So is it better then if you have a minute of breathing a day, would you say that's better to do that than not at all? Or would you say that really you need like a full 20 minutes meditation session for there to be benefits?
Yeah. So most of the leaders that I coach don't have those 20 minutes and they don't think they have it. A lot of them are already, sports people, so they're either running or swimming or doing that. And if you're a parent as well, they don't find the 20 minutes in their day. What they do is they do a minute pausing and they do breathing. I try and get them to pause between meetings and just take a few breaths and design how they want to go into that meeting. And there's also a stop exercise that almost everybody does that I can explain that takes like literally 30 seconds to a minute. So should I explain the exercise?
Go for it.
Yeah, it sounds good, yes.
Yeah, so STOP is an acronym. So the STOP means literally to just stop in your day and can be very helpful when you're triggered. So often we are triggered, we feel something makes us stress, like a situation occurs, and it could be a person or a situation, and we could feel that we're triggered. So you could use, the STOP methodology, which S stands for literally just stop and be still. The T stands for like take a few breaths. So take 3 breaths. Just take 3 breaths right now. And then the O stands for what are my options? When we go into, like this freeze, we often forget that we have options. So we ask ourselves, what are my options? And then the P is proceed. And what I find with my clients is that often when they do the stop, they will choose something else to proceed with rather than just carry on automatically with their day.
Yes.
And that can often just, that stopping, just those 3 breaths can change everything. Yeah. And by the way, this exercise is on my YouTube channel, Samantha Amit. You can, just listen to it, stop Samantha Amit, and do the exercise together with me.
Amazing.
Simple, yeah.
Yeah, you're staying with us and we'll be back just after this. A world without the arts is one without confidence, creativity and community. And yet funding has been reduced every year. Arts programmes have been shown to benefit social inclusion and well-being, particularly for marginalised groups, with projects fostering a sense of belonging, cultivating mutual understanding and breaking down social barriers and isolation. Participation in arts programmes can help boost confidence and open doors to opportunities that may otherwise be inaccessible. Click Arts Foundation offers grants up to £2,000 for grassroots arts projects twice a year, with our community arts experience trustees meticulously scoring each project on impact and sustainability. To date, we have supported craft and visual arts projects, dance, drumming for well-being, and preservation of heritage and culture. If you share our passion, not just for maintaining the arts themselves, but contributing to the many benefits it can bring, please consider making a donation to Click Arts Foundation registered charity. Welcome back to Mental Health Matters After Hours. We've been discussing mindfulness and we have mindfulness coach Samantha Amit with us. Samantha, why is stress such a big thing at the moment for all of us, whether professional or personal?
Yeah, I think that it could be different for everybody. So for some people, it could be the stage in their life that they are going through. And sometimes, we have valleys that we go through where we have more stress. For others, it could be the role that you have. Often we find if you become like a parent or you change jobs, these are very stressful. So it's situational. And it could just be the busyness of life, this always on. And we don't know really how to stop. We had that stop exercise. We don't know how to stop. In our society today, we don't value rest. We value multitasking more. We value being always on. And it's not that productive to our mental health.
No, that's very true. And a lot of stress is external, as you've mentioned, but we feel it internally, and it's very real. So mindfulness, whilst it can't necessarily remove the stress, how can it help?
Yeah, so it can help in many ways. The exercise that we did was actually an exercise to help you go into the future and see what you want to change, like manifestation. And that's actually, if you take anything away, people think mindfulness is about calming you down. And the truth is, it doesn't actually calm you down unless you've been practicing for a long time, or you have, let's say, a practitioner with you. That's why a lot of people stop, because the initial introduction to mindfulness isn't that it calms me down. But if you can use mindfulness to bring curiosity in, to notice like what's going on inside me. Again, I'm going back to like just being okay with noticing what's going on and then saying, okay, what can I do about it now? That can be very helpful, because internally we have a lot of stress. We are triggered so much. And those alarm bells go off all the time, so that if we can have 1 or 2 practices to help us either gain insight into how to navigate things in a new way, it could be so helpful to us.
Yeah, definitely. And your stop exercise, I think, is one that could help right there, then in the moment, to actually take yourself out of that very stressful situation and make you think, oh, there's another way. Thank you. So this might be a bit of a devil's advocate question. As a coach, might it not sometimes be better to focus on solving the problems rather than introducing and practicing mindfulness?
Yeah. So I agree with you. I agree with you completely. Actually, we do need to solve problems, because if we do need to, part of mindfulness is acceptance.
True.
But that in a way is, for most people, a concept that is, how can I accept the situation?
Yeah.
So we do need to look and see, okay, this is the situation I'm in. What part of it can I influence?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so the mindfulness piece that I particularly enjoy is the insight meditation part, which, Vipassana and sitting meditation, you get a lot of insight.
Yeah.
So if you can take, the judgment, and you're able to let go of that and bring curiosity in, you can actually start solving problems. So that's what I do when I'm practicing mindfulness in a session with my clients.
Yes.
I help them to gain new perspectives.
Yes.
And new ideas, and that's what calms them down.
Yes, I think that this really leads me on to the next question, because that's where the coach comes in so importantly, really, because you can get apps. And so, but the app isn't going to be able to tailor that. So what are your thoughts on apps in general for mindfulness? Is that enough, or is that just a good starting point?
Absolutely. It's an excellent starting point. And I think if you like a particular app, use it. Because you asked me previously, how often should you practice? The more you practice, the better. So you can't be with your coach or your therapist or your teacher, 24/7. But you can actually practice mindfulness throughout your day. Like what my clients do from meeting to meeting is they'll take that, pause before they go into the next meeting.
Yeah.
They'll take a few breaths. And so, yes, for sure, apps are helpful, but there are many other ways to practice mindfulness. And having somebody that you can speak to is definitely very helpful in moving you forward in your mindfulness practice.
Yes, I think that's really helpful. And what 3 tips would you give people to get a little bit more mindfulness into their lives? So like the stop or taking those 3 breaths, what would you want?
Right. So first, I just want to acknowledge anybody that's listening today. That says a lot about you, because it says that you're already invested. So yay. So commitment, commitment and intention is critical. Finding something that's easy. So don't start with something that's hard. And already, if you're practicing, find a way to add on to what you're doing. That's easy for you to add on into your day. So commitment, make it easy enough that you do it. And then having somebody to help you, improve your practice, to further your practice, is so helpful.
I love that.
Oh, brilliant.
So good. That's so good.
It's so good. And you've been really amazing to listen to for an introduction to mindfulness. Where can we find out more about you?
Yes, I really do want to invite the listeners, who's watching, to reach out to me with any questions you have. I'm on all social media, almost all, I think. So Samantha Amit, you can find me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, YouTube, as I've mentioned before. And my website is askyourcoach.com, ask with a minus, coach minus com. And yes, I would love to answer any question that you have, and just practice.
Amazing.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you, Sam, absolutely. And we'll have those details in the show notes. Thank you so much, Sam. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you. We're going to head over to Test the Trend. Welcome to the Test the Trend segment. And this week I've been thinking about apps. And I mentioned apps in the conversation earlier. And I thought I would look at apps like Fitbit and other apps that you might have on your phone, I've been trying Asana Rebel Yoga and wall Pilates. Now, I've stopped my gym subscription because I wasn't going. And so I have managed to save money on that. And these apps all together probably come to about the price of a month. So I think that's a good deal because you pay for them and you get them for a year. And what I notice, especially on the Fitbit app, there's loads of videos you can go into. Mindfulness is one set. Exercises which work your core. You can do Peloton, you can do treadmill, you can do cycling, dancing, any of those. And they range in duration. So you can do under 5 minutes, you can do 30 minutes. It's completely up to you. Personally, I'm trying to spend around 10 minutes at least 5 days a week doing them. And that kind of can make up at least one full class. It's that little and often. And I don't have the stamina for doing anything longer yet. But what I like is that the collections are sometimes grouped by beginner, intermediate, and so on as well. But I guess the question is, what are these apps giving me that maybe a personal trainer can't, or that YouTube, which is free, can't? Well, when it comes to coaches, personal trainers, it is that individual touch, that individual attention and support that you might need to start off. And then hopefully maybe the apps can give you practice during the week, because the other question comes in, if you're paying for a coach or a personal trainer, then you're not doing anything apart from seeing them again. How much are you progressing for the amount you're spending? That's a question you need to answer for yourself. But then with YouTube or free apps, and apps in general, how much tuition do you get? Now, certainly on the Fitbit apps, I found that you get quite a lot of tuition. It's not the same as someone helping you, because if things are going wrong, they can't see you. So be mindful of health and safety. I know apps group everything together, whereas on YouTube I could be just searching and searching, and I've spent 10 minutes doing that, and there's my 10 minutes of the day gone already. So there's less noise compared to on YouTube. You also get to log into your workout, and you keep hold of that workout so you know you've done it. And sometimes it can link with your smartwatch to check your heart rate and things like that. And the other thing I quite like is the privacy of the class, and it goes at your pace. So again, a dedicated app will give you beginner, intermediate, and so on, whereas YouTube, it's a bit like suck it and see. But I would also say YouTube can sometimes give you insights into classes which you might not have tried before. So it really depends on what you want to do. And I know that's just a very open question. If you want somebody to guide you and you want that individual tuition, then a personal trainer, a coach, that can be a great place to go. The next step would be potentially classes, groups, joining the gym, being in a space where there's lots of people to ask. That can be helpful as well. Or you can test things out with things like YouTube, apps, and so on. I think apps are a good complement. And if you're already versed in fitness or whatever the area is you want, they're probably a good way to ensure you practice little and often. Let me know in the comments what you've been trying and what works for you, because this is still a very individual thing. It's that last part of the show, which is always, I think, one of the most fun parts.
Yeah, it's nice to reflect, isn't it?
It is.
And think about what we've learned.
It's all about reflection.
Yes,
What have you taken from today?
I think that there's different types of mindfulness.
Yes.
And you've got to find the right one for you. But also, if you are going to practice it, you have to kind of commit to it and really be in the moment, otherwise it's just not going to work.
Yeah, and it's almost tuning into that internal chatter. And if the internal chatter is, oh, this is stupid, this is at least you've tuned into it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because then you can move on from that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that alone can actually give you some insights. So, yeah, are there any practices you'll be taking through from today?
Yeah, the stop one. Because sometimes, my other role can be very, very stressful. And I don't take the time to stop and think about it. So it's just so simple, but I should think it's very effective. So I will be practicing that for sure. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I like the stuff. I use that technique as well with, instead of options, I interchange that word with outcomes. And the reason I do that sometimes is, I use both.
Yeah.
Yeah, bonus. Is because sometimes you get so caught up in this same argument again and again and again. You actually just want to win rather than think, what am I trying to achieve?
Yes.
So if you look at the outcome, then the options come a bit easier.
Yes.
Because you know, I want that to happen, as opposed to, I want you to go down.
Exactly. And sometimes if you've got too many options as well, you're kind of stuck because you don't know where to go. But if you know where you want to get to, sometimes the option's obvious.
So I think it's exactly as you say. Lots of ways to practice mindfulness.
Yes.
Do what works for you and let us know in the comments. And from Jude and myself, a very good night.